All right, so welcome back to the shop. We're working on our 2CV Citroen car once again. This is I don't think this was Charleston. I explained that yesterday in yesterday's video. But we got this thing fixed up, got the brakes working, got the engine running. It's been sitting for a while. And I wasn't happy with the results, so it's back in the shop. It didn't stop straight. It pulled hard left or right. It would lock up and do like this because it has such a flexible suspension. So let's take a look at a few things under this car and see if we can make it right. One thing, let's see here. If we're looking at the car from under the front, you can see we've got our disc brakes here. These are inboard solid disc brakes. And they look like they've been heated up. You can see that kind of a rusty color on there. So I'm going to just spin the wheel here freely. And what happened yesterday, we found out, was the caliper bolts loosened up and fluid leaked out, the mineral fluid. And what I didn't think about on my test drive was that the fluid leaked all over the brake disc and all over the muffler, you can see, and it created a lack of friction, which means that this brake disc pulled harder than this one, and that's what put me not into the ditch, but it would head for the ditch, because this one would grab and this one wouldn't. So that's all cleaned up and sealed, doesn't leak anymore, and I think this front part is ready to go. On the rear, such a cool little car, we have just simple little drum brakes. Let's take a look at these. So we just have a wheel cylinder here, it's the green thing here, and it's supposed to push the pistons out this way. The piston on the rear, the trailing piston, I guess you might call it, since there's two pistons, they're supposed to equally push out. This one was seized up, and I could tell that when I first opened this up, it was rusty here, and this shoe is supposed to pivot on this point down here, and I could grab onto here, and I could not make this move at all, whereas this one was like, it was really, really easy. So I have now tapped this piston in, tapped that piston out. I have not rebuilt the wheel cylinders. I don't think the customer's into that right now. These shoes are very thin, probably should be replaced. That wheel cylinder should be replaced. But I just want to get this car kind of sorted. I think I'm going to give it back to her, and then we'll order parts and we'll do the brakes at another time. But this is the rear brakes setup on a 75, 76 Citroen 2CV. You can see this is the hold, this is the return spring, pretty ingenious. These are the hold down springs for the shoes, and the adjusters are on the back here. Can't really see them, but there's bolt here, and there's an eccentric cam, so that when the shoes wear, you can click, 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 and you can rotate that eccentric cam and make the shoes closer to the drum. The wheel bearings are not tapered, they're just, we call it flat wheel bearings. So you've got a great big nut here with a bunch of torque that you're supposed to put on it. So I've fixed this side. I think I have to re-bleed because I did pop one of the cylinders, one of the pistons out of the cylinder. This side here, you'll notice, does not have a green wheel cylinder. Somebody's replaced it. This side is frozen and this side works. And I know that because I can go inside the cabin here, and with my trusty pipe right there, I can push on the brake pedal, and I can stand right here while I push on that pedal with the pipe. I can watch this wheel cylinder work, and this one's stuck. So that might be my problem as to why the brakes were feeling funky. I had an issue where the first time you pushed on the brake pedal, it wouldn't go to the floor, but it'd go halfway down. The next time it would come up. Sort of a classic symptom that something's not right, usually with an adjustment in the back, if your master cylinder is good. Could be a master cylinder, but this has got a new master cylinder. So, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a few more things, and then I'm going to turn the camera off and go for a drive. Also very thin leading shoe here. You'll notice that this one in the back here is twice as thick, but I wanted to show you this exhaust system. That's the factory exhaust system for a 2CV. It exits through the fender right there, runs along the bottom of the car, goes through a glass pack, and side exits right here. Actually doesn't sound too bad or too loud. It's very flexible. You can see I'm grabbing it on there, moving all around. These cars are so funny. We got our shocks here. Where's our springs? It's got torsion bars? No, springs are in that thing. I'll show you how that works. Get underneath there. Okay, so this big, huge cylinder right here is a big tug-of-war cylinder. There's a rod that comes out the back, and you can see it along the greasy shock there. It goes all the way back to the control arm, and that controls the dampening of that control arm. And then also the front, you can see it's connected right there. So the whole car is suspended by whatever's in that big thing, probably a spring or full of oil or who knows what, but it's very supple. Very simple down here. This car's had a replacement frame, I believe. It's a galvanized frame, looks really good. There's your gas tank, ladder frame, engine, everything's up front. Really simple, really neat. Great little car. Okay, we're gonna do some work. There's your fuel filter, should you want to change it. Air cooled, of course. Coil pack right there. See if we can make this car stop. Stop well. Stop well is the key. It'll stop, but not well. Okay, you can see I'm all spread out here on the shop floor. Wheels and tires, brake drums, pullers, tools, and Stella? Where's my dog? Are you up there looking down on me on the mezzanine? You goofy puppy. Look at your eyes shining. She wants to know where I am, but she doesn't want to be too close. And she is very camera shy, but that's funny. Okay, so the car's here up on the lift. You can see Stella's up on the mezzanine. I just had a Eureka moment. I figured this thing out, and it wasn't easy, but I think you're going to agree with me once you figure it out. So, okay, my complaint was there's twofold on the brakes. One, it would pull pretty hard to the right when you step on the brakes after I did the work, and I realized that I still had oil on the disc brake on the driver's side, so I got that cleaned up. I'm pretty sure that'll take care of the pulling. But the second thing was the brake pedal would go down about halfway when you first hit the pedal, and then the second time it would pump up. And I know that I bled the lines. The front calipers are new. The master cylinder is new. There had to be something going on back here, but I couldn't figure it out. There was a rattle in this drum on this side. That turned out to be the cover, the dust cover for the wheel bearing and for the nut. So I got that figured out. But if you notice, this wheel cylinder is green. Take good note of that, it's green. And if you look at where the brake shoes are in relation to the pistons within the wheel cylinder, I cannot get my screwdriver in there. These shoes are resting up against those pistons. See how they're resting up against those pistons? So even though this shoe is really thin and it's been adjusted out, that shoe is resting against the piston. Let's go look at the side. Different wheel cylinder put on by a different mechanic. This shoe is also thin. It's been adjusted out to the drum, but look at this. I can get my screwdriver in there. There's enough of a gap between the piston and the brake shoe on both sides. So what's happening is I go to pump the pedal or to panic stop, and the fluid rushes into this wheel cylinder. It pushes out on this piston and this piston until it contacts that little tab on the shoe. You've got a mushy pedal. So the first pump, these pistons have to extend to get close, and then the next pump you've got the pistons outward, and there's no soft pedal. So I think I figured it out. I've got to replace this piston with the correct one, and while I'm at it, I might as well do the shoes. I was going to let them go, but they're so thin, and I was just trying to get the lady going, but to be safe, it needs new shoes and a new wheel cylinder. So I'm pretty happy. I think I figured that out. So again, my pedal goes down halfway, trying to fill up the volume here of fluid to try to contact that shoe, and that's giving me it just gives me an uneasy feeling. I like to have a pedal that's snappy and firm and brakes on demand. So that's probably what you're going to be able to see on this car for today, because now we got to order parts, and who knows how long that's going to take. So Things gonna get put away, put the wheels back on it, and it's gonna be another day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for helping me figure that out. And oh, Stella, oh, that's a good puppy. You were way up there by yourself. Glad you didn't try to jump down. Stella wants to go to the park. You want to go to the park? You bet you do. All right, we'll see you guys on the next video.